cleaning your bike is something we all have to do. But let's face it, there are some things that can be easy to get a bit wrong. You can end up scrubbing some of your paintwork away. You can get muck and filth into your suspension units. And worse still, you can wear stuff out and ruin your brakes. So here's a bunch of common cleaning mistakes you definitely don't want to be making. Ruining your paintwork. Oh man, this is something I've seen people do time and time again. And there's definitely a method to getting the best at cleaning your bike. Now look at the state of this at the moment. It's got loads of dried on like mud and muck and filth. There's grit in there as well. So what you don't want to be doing is just getting to work, trying to agitate that straight off. The best thing you could possibly do is rinse everything down first. Don't just start scrubbing away with a brush on there, because you're going to work it into that paintwork. Oh man, it just upsets me, the thought of people just doing that. Also, you've got to be careful with the types of cleaner you're using. Now, if you're not using a dedicated bike cleaner, of course you could be using a number of household products. Just be cautious of what you use, because some household products have got really strong chemicals in it. Now, I have seen people in the past using oven cleaner on their bikes. Oh God, I mean, oven cleaner is designed to get grease out the oven, but think what it's going to do to like Kashima coating and stuff like that. You're absolutely going to kill your bike. Take a bit of care, get it nice and wet, treat it to a bit of a hose down first so you can get that mud wet. Get your cleaner on there, agitate it, and then wash it off. That way, you're going to look after your paintwork. Lubing your bike wrong. Now, when I'm saying lubing your bike wrong, think about what lubricant does on the chain. The whole point is that your chain should be clean and the lubricant goes into the pins and rollers, the stuff that actually moves around, and it preserves your chain, preserves the action of it, reduces friction. Quite often I'll see someone hose a bike down that's obviously might be in a better state than mine currently, and they just put loads of lube all over it, and all you're doing is locking in all of the grit that's already in there. So just don't cover it with stuff. If you want to protect your transmission after washing your bike and it's not fully clean, the best thing you can do is use some kind of water displacing spray. That way, you're flushing out any stuff that shouldn't be in the chain, so when you come to lubricate the chain, it's going to be all right. And whatever you do, don't just lube your chain when it's like this, thinking it'll keep your bike all right when it's in the garage. You're just going to mess it up even more. The next one's a classic. Contaminating your brakes. Now, I've done this many times by accident. I'm sure some of you have. Yeah, I know you have, in fact. And there's a number of ways that this can happen. The most obvious one is you're using a spray lube or a spray like water displacer, something like that, spraying it near your chain of cassette, and you either accidentally directly spray it straight in your disc rotors, or just the mist is carried by the wind and it goes all over your disc rotors. Now, although it is possible to try and use a disc brake cleaner and a few different methods to try and remove it from the discs and the pads, once it soaks in those brake pads, it is game over. That means new disc rotors, new disc brake pads. Expensive business. And of course, there's a few other ways that people don't really consider. Now, your disc rotors can get contaminated when you're out actually just riding on the trails, because naturally there's going to be oils and stuff like from the roads, salts and things like that, and you're going to pick that stuff up and it's going to get flicked onto your disc rotors. And of course, when you're cleaning your bike, there's also going to be greases and stuff elsewhere on your bike. So just be cautious when you're using that brush, cleaning the cassette and stuff. The oil that's generally on the cassette already doesn't go near your braking surfaces. If in doubt, you can use disc brake covers when you're cleaning your bike, or you could do what I like to do and spray some disc brake cleaner or some actual bike cleaner on your disc rotors before you go and clean your actual drive side. So at least that way, in theory, you've got a bit of a barrier on there that you're going to be able to wash off separately. Contaminating your brakes, part 2. Now, we all like to use water displacer on the bikes to like flush out water, obviously, and prevent corrosion happening in your chain and cassette and stuff. But it's also a good idea, especially if you ride in wet conditions a lot, to use some sort of polish on your bike afterwards. Now, the theory of this is you apply it, obviously not on a dirty bike like mine, you apply it on the down tube, on the undersides of tubes, places like that, even on the rims if you're not using rim brakes. And the theory is by having a polish on there, it does help reduce the chances of mud building up so quickly. Kind of like a wax, really. It's like a good idea. However, using stuff like this can absolutely kill your brakes. Yeah, I've done this one before. Got to spray it direct on the bike and ruined my brakes. If you're going to do it, spray it onto a rag and then wipe it onto the bike. Let that be a lesson for you. And lastly, there's, I guess you could call it the Houdini bike wash. Now, picture this, there's a couple of situations this happens in. So one of them will be if you're doing uplifts at, say, a bike park, something like that, and your bike is absolutely plastered and stuff, but it's still soaking wet, you can go and take advantage of the jet wash there. Now, this is ideal because you can do a really good job, but you're not going to do a good job if you don't use a bike cleaner on there, because what actually happens is you wash the bike down and it looks amazing, and you go and put it in the back of your van and you get home, unload, go to bed, etc. Wake up next day and your bike's filthy again. It's ridiculous. It looks like someone's just taken out your bike and had a day riding and not cleaned it. Now, this is because you have a whole layer of stuff that's just not seen when you're loosely hosing stuff down, and you're left with just like a residue of dirt and silt and stuff all over the bike. So do yourself a favour. If you're going to clean your bike at a proper bike wash at a bike park, take some bike cleaner with you, or try and use some of the provided ones. Give your bike a bit of a coating, lather it up a bit, and that way your bike is actually going to be clean. The second reason it happens is you come in after a night ride in the middle of winter. Oh, he's puffed himself out. Now, the classic scenario is you go out for your night ride with your mates, have an awesome time, get plastered in mud, and you get home, it's pitch black in the garden. You're like, I really should at least wash the bare minimum off the bike here. You get carried away, you give it a hose down, and you think it's pretty clean. Same thing, park it up indoors, put a bit of water displacer on it, shut the door, go to bed. Wake up in the morning, and it still looks like this. Yeah. The Houdini bike wash is a classic. If you're going to wash your bike, do it properly. But if you can't wash your bike, the one thing that you must do is get some water displacer on your drivetrain, on your pedals, on the mechanisms if you're using clipless pedals, any moving parts on the bike, just get some water displacer on there so you know that when you do go to clean the bike, at least the fundamentals have been protected underneath of it. Now, cleaning a bike is easy. Just think about what you're doing, and that way your bike's going to last longer, look better, and thank you for it. Well, there we go. Leave us some comments underneath about your bike cleaning nightmares that you've had, or ones that you've seen other people had. Love to hear the stories. As always, give us a thumbs up. We'll see you next video. See you later.